welcome to another episode of Tshirt Business Podcast. Today I have a very special friend with me. I have Cory. All right, so Cory, I've actually learned a lot from him silently. Cory has a YouTube channel that he put a lot of content, and now you're back at it. So we'll get to learn from Cory. Cory talks a lot about lean principle. Definitely want to get into that. And let's get into it. So Cory, tell us a little bit about you and what you're about.
All right. So yeah, like you said, my name's Cory. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And I started the shop in like 2014, which is how many years ago now? Like 7, 8 years ago now. So I got into the business I needed t-shirts for my BMX company at the time. Just like anybody, right? You need some stuff, and maybe the shop, it was like either late or the design was like not as it was mocked up and stuff like that, just kind of missing those expectations I had as a customer. And I don't know, one thing led to another. It's kind of a set of circumstances and coincidence or whatever, and I just ended up getting a job at a print shop that did like decals, screen printing decals and stuff like that. I guess that's when I saw kind of the back of house and the front of house, and I saw maybe where the disconnect was that led to the trouble I was having as a customer, right? So I never really knew shirts were even screen printed. Like, I don't know what I was thinking about how shirts were made, but I definitely didn't realize that they were made right in this. Like, I didn't realize that there's a bunch of shops, we're a population of 1 million people here. There's probably like 24 shops. So I didn't realize that it was just, yeah, like I said, I didn't realize it was happening right there in the city. And I didn't realize I didn't put 2 and 2 together that screen printing was something really simple, well, relatively simple to get started with, and that I could do this merch myself. So it kind of went that way. Like, okay, maybe we can print this BMX stuff ourselves. That was kind of tricky, and it led to like, maybe I'll get a job in a print shop. Well, not even like, I didn't get a job in that print shop to print rep set stuff. It was really, I just had this interest in the process after learning a bit about it. Yeah, got a job in a shop. So the first job was at a place that did decals and flat stock printing. That was my intro to like technical screen printing, I guess, because just working with high mesh counts. I think the lowest mesh count, we only used 2 mesh counts, but I'm pretty sure it was like 320 and 380, and that was it. So just really high mesh counts, big screens, detailed art, and huge long runs with solvent ink. So I was in the screen room, like the only screen room guy. I guess they called it a technician. I didn't really feel like one at the time, but yeah, one thing led to another kind of through that. And it was like, well, maybe I could, do this myself. I got laid off from that job because she was trying to sell the business, I think, just trying to wind down their payroll numbers before selling it. And yeah, I was on employment insurance, like job benefits. And there was a program for business to like, if you take this business plan program, we'll extend your benefit another 6 months. And so it all kind of was like, that got me thinking about, was there a business I could start? And that was the timing, man. So I got right into it from there. Just started the shop in 2014. But yeah, so I started in 2014 and just had a need for our own stuff. And like, I figured there's no way that I'm the only customer who would be looking for a shop that was like more dialed on the emails and more serious about hitting deadlines and serious about pushing the quality and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got into it, right? And that's like, yeah, that's how I became a screen printer, I guess. It's just having to go through all that.
Nice. Yeah, that's an awesome story. So one thing I love about that, and I wish my journey was a little bit similar than yours, because I faced so much struggle because I started my shop without knowing anything about screen printing.
Yeah, like I gotta say, man, okay, yeah, I don't think it was a benefit, right? But I never worked in a shop that had an automatic. I never worked I worked in that graphics shop. That was good, like learned a lot about screen making. But then I worked at a t-shirt shop for a couple months there too, right before starting my own situation. And man, like right around the time I got laid off, I was also like kind of, what would it be called? Moonlighting. I was working like part-time at this buddy's print shop, a buddy of mine, old pal of mine. And man, like, I don't know, like sometimes I wish, I guess, and not to cut you off, but I'm just saying, don't worry about that, man. Because I don't think it benefited me that much.
Oh,
You know what
oh,
I mean?
you don't think so?
I learned a lot about, I think it was really motivational. It was like, man, if these guys can have a living doing this and it's like this annoying to work at, then like I can build a
Yeah,
place where that's not annoying to work at, and then and do a
yeah,
better job and have more time with it. So the one thing about our industry I love is just people like you, right? There's people like you talking to other shops and putting that information out there. So I was really grateful just for the shirt board in the early days, man. I must have read, like, I remember sorting the shirt board threads, just sorting it by amount of views or amount of comments and just going down the list, man, and just everything I could. There's so much information out there. So I'm grateful for that. And I wonder why,
yeah,
like, it didn't seem like the shops I was working at before, it didn't seem like they were like looking for this info. And if they were, they weren't sharing it with me, right? So yeah, it's
yeah.
I didn't have any bad habits to get rid of from working at those shops. So it was good in that sense.
Now you making money doing t-shirts. This is T-shirt Business Podcast. Well, I always want to, because like I never thought I could make money printing t-shirts or just doing t-shirts before I got into t-shirt printing stuff. I've always had a regular job, and it was a good job at that. And I didn't even actually want to quit my job to start a t-shirt business. It was my wife. She wanted to do some stuff, and while I was helping out, I saw a bunch of those videos. I actually saw a bunch of Ryanette's video. That's what really got
Yeah,
me
yeah.
like super interested in this. I was like, okay, these people could do it. So is this t-shirt, what I'm trying to get to here, is this t-shirt thing a super sustainable thing where people could make an actual good living on it for a long time? What's your experience with that?
I think so, man. It's like, so, and maybe not specifically screen printing, right? It's about, I've heard people say you got to love the product, not so much the process. Like, you don't want to fall in love and get attached or married to the process. You want to get married to the product that you provide. And like, I think it's a weird thing, I've seen people post on Facebook. I saw this like super recently, someone saying like, an apocalypse situation or something that no one's going to give a shit about t-shirts. Sorry, that no one's going to care about t-shirts. And that's true, right? It's like, it's a service that might not be seen as a critical service, but man, like, I think marketing and advertising is not really going anywhere. And with clothing
Mm,
being, food, clothing, shelter, like at the very least, it's a necessity. People have to wear clothes, and
yeah.
people want to express themselves all the time. So I think that unless we're in an actual apocalypse scenario, then yeah, I think there's always going to be a need for this service, and at all levels, right? Like even if Amazon's doing it, even if huge, like big corporations take it over, I think there's always going to be a need for it. Amazon's a good
Yeah.
example, right? There's still like niche bookstores that exist, right? Like there's an independent bookseller in my city that seems to be doing just fine for themselves, right? And so there's always, and record stores too, like another thing, there's always going to be a niche for it, whether it's big enough for everybody that's in it today going forward, who knows? But I think if you're doing good work for good people, then it's always going to lead to more of the same, and you're always going to be doing something. At the very least, it's a stepping stone. Like if you got into this business for 3 years and then it, I don't know, disappeared, like, say Amazon took it over and now there's no small shops, I don't know, whatever. I still think that would be a good experience for you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a good learning experience. So like, I don't know if I get asked this by my wife, I don't know if I'm going to be printing shirts forever. Like, is my plan to be at Floodway until I'm 65 and retire here? I'm not really sure, but that doesn't really change too much about what I'm doing today, right? So it's
Yeah.
still like the stepping stone that is today, still taking it as seriously as I would be doing anything else, right? Because maybe for you 10 years ago, or someone said, hey, like, where do you think you're going to be in 10 years? Like, I probably wouldn't have said, you know what I mean?
I was going down the corporate path. Even entrepreneurship 10 years ago wasn't heavy in my mind. So now I would say right now you're one of the faces of the industry as far as I could tell. Screen printing, right? Like if you say Cory Build and the t-shirt printing, screen printing industry, people will know it. You've built this now. Let's say you've traveled this and you got to the point where you are now. Would you go back and redo it again if you had to make that same decision, or would you choose a different path, like career-wise, or choose a different craft?
I think I'd still be on it. Like, remember I had that unique kind of, like, I was interested in print and printmaking, I think, before that. I always had an interest in just like how things were made, like mass production of things, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I was always into, say, I was really into stickers growing up in BMX and stuff like that. Like, even like within reach of me in my office, I have this like container of stickers from BMX stuff. I was always just into like how this stuff was made, or I guess I wasn't really into how it was printed at the time, right? But I always just thought that printed stuff was cool. You could hold it in your hand, like magazines, right? This thing's full of like BMX zines and stuff like that, right? I was always into printed stuff. If I could have like a copy of something, like a book, I was just into that stuff, right? So I always had the interest in it, and I thought it was cool to be able to make your own stuff, right? I thought screen printing was like, I thought it was cool. I really liked it. And then when that intersects with like business, like commerce, then yeah, I think I would, like, I couldn't imagine it any other way, right? It's maybe, you make me think about, if you ask that question about BMX, like, oh, like, you know, if you knew what you knew now, and when you're 10 years old, would you have started riding BMX? Like, absolutely. Like, man, you know what the real core of that answer is like, if I didn't start this path, I probably wouldn't have been discovered lean and like lean thinking the way that I did. It might not have like slapped me in the face the way that it did when I came across that stuff, right? And so without that, like, that alone is reason enough to have gone down that path. And maybe that's to my point before about like, would I recommend somebody else go into it? It's like, yeah, because you never know, like, you are on your path already. You never know what's going to happen, good or bad. It's kind of just like, go with your gut, you know? And if my gut was saying the same thing that it was then yeah, I would yeah, I would be over it. I'd be doing the same thing again, right? I'd maybe approach it differently. I'd maybe be on my lean journey like a couple of years earlier. You know what I mean? But other than that, yeah, I would definitely.
First of all, what the heck is lean? Like, and why should people care?
I would say lean started, I think it's rooted in, it's a Toyota thing is how I would describe it. It's a Toyota thing is how I would describe it. Toyota came up, it's the Toyota production system, I think, is where it comes from. So for me, when I discovered lean, it was through Fast Cap, 2-second lean. And Paul Akers really pitched it in a way, I don't know. So I watched a shop tour, and what I noticed is that everyone there was so engaged and so like happy at their job. Everyone seemed to really enjoy their job and be proud of it, right? And that's kind of what I struggled with.
So you did a tour of Fast Cap?
No, I watched it on YouTube.
Got it.
So when I moved, I got the auto about 3 years into the business. We were at our old shop for like 3 years and then moved into this shop. So we went from 800 square feet, just a couple blocks away, to this space that's 4,600 square feet. So when we moved in, we didn't have the auto either. It came like a couple months later. And man, like, it was hard at first because you move your small shop in and you're like, oh, we got all this space. We put stuff on the walls, and it was just hard. Like, it was slower, I guess. I could notice right away that stuff is further away. So I was looking actually for, I was looking for lean shops. I knew what lean was. So I wanted to like, I couldn't really find screen printing shop tours. So I wanted to look at other facilities and see what these layouts are looking like and stuff like that. And that's where I came across this Fast Cap video where they just did a tour. And they also have a video called like favorite improvements. Watching that improvements video, seeing people like that excited about it, that's really where how I came across it was like. So for me, the reason it slapped me in the face is the language I used earlier, is because everyone was so engaged and it looked dialed. It's different than when you go into business and it looks dialed, it looks clean and stuff like that. But what is that? The next level of it is when it's clean, not because they spend all day cleaning. It's clean because they love to keep it that way, and because they want it to be dialed, and they want to have like a great place to work, right? And so lean, for me, when I discovered it, it was like a language that I could use now. It's like a framework. It takes me as the boss out of it a little bit, because man, I've worked with people where, like subcontractors, for example, where you ask them to do something a certain way and you show them that it's better that way, and their attitude is like, oh yeah, we'll do it whatever way you want to do it. It's like, I want you to do it whatever the best way. And if we can't
Yeah.
agree on what the best way is here, if you don't see it as the best way, now you're doing things 10 different ways. I don't understand. So for me, it gave me this language to be like, it's not about what I want. It's just like, is it safer? Is it increasing quality? Is it simpler? Is it faster? In that literal order, we won't make something faster if it reduces the quality. We won't even increase the quality if it makes something less safe. And just, it gives that language, that framework, and sort of this like this authority, right? Because I don't know everything, and I don't want to be like the king of the castle. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a leader here, and I'm trying to build leaders as well. So it's not going to work if they all have to come to me for every idea and stuff like that, right? If you're the easy button for every problem, they're going to use that easy button every single time. They're going to ask you every single time. So that's what it was for me. It's a language, I would say, and it's at the root of it, it's respect for people, respect for resources, and we respect those resources and respect those people by continuously driving to improve and reduce waste, and just be better at what we do every day. And that's really it. Respect for people, respect for resources, and continuous
Yeah.
improvement.
So you went in almost 1,000% on this, on your shop, based on what I can see, based on the videos that you put out, conversations that you have. So what was your steps to get, like, so you watch those videos, what other, how did you implement this? How did you make this come to light?
The nice thing, so I'll give credit and plug this all day long. It's Paul Akers, I think, is really great at teaching it. 2-second lean is how he broke it down into, like, lean is supposed to be simple. Well, not supposed to be. How about this? Like, lean, if you make lean simple and you make it fun, then it'll catch on, right? And so I'm really early on our journey. I wouldn't consider us a world-class facility for lean at all. I would consider it like we're small peanuts. I talk to some other lean shops outside of our industry. Yeah, we're, if Toyota is like, Toyota would probably consider themselves even like 3% of the way there. So if Toyota is like 3% of the way there, we're like a fraction of a percent of the way there, right? But to start, like, I watched that Paul Akers stuff, man, and it really starts, I think, with learning to see waste. And once you can see waste in different ways, then you can start addressing it through continuous improvement. But I think for a lot of people, like, okay, we all want to work smarter, not harder as individuals. And a lot of us have this in us already. And for me, when I saw lean, it's more of like a management principle. It's it's to hand it down and train people, right? So you yourself can learn to be a lean practitioner by just like continuously looking for inspiration, looking at other people's improvements and implementing them, right? But I think the pillars, the like fundamental ways to get it to stick seem to be, Paul will say, it's like doing the daily meetings and making videos of it. And I'm pretty sure the third one is just 3S time, like giving yourself regular chunks of time to do it. So when I jumped in, the one thing I think we weren't doing for a long time was making videos. I started with the meetings. So let me say that. I started with doing the meetings. We've been doing the meetings every day, like 30 to 45 minutes of this meeting every single day for years now, like pretty soon after we moved in. I think it was one of the first things we implemented, just like, let's meet all the time. But the mistake I made with it was that I was always leading the meetings for the longest time. It's supposed to, like, the fast cap methodology would be to have employees lead the meeting. And I always just, I don't know, I felt like maybe the meeting wasn't dialed enough to pass it on, whatever. That's just all, it's all garbage. So the last couple of months I've had we've been rotating through other people leading the meeting. So yeah, getting the meetings on a regular thing and getting other people to do them, have it not to be leader led, like one of the first things to do, and giving that time. So we have 30 minutes a day before the meeting, giving that time to make those improvements. Like, this is specifically clean up, make your workspace ready for the day time, and then making the videos, because making the videos is the lateral communication. We look at these videos every day at the meeting. So if I made an improvement yesterday, then we watch it at the meeting this morning. And so everyone kind of sees what Sam did. They see the videos kind of like before and after, like, hey, it used to be like this, and now here's the improvement. Everyone kind of sees it. Lots of ideas come from that. Lots of next improvements come from that. Just like, hey, maybe if you have to explain the improvement, well, if someone's got questions and stuff like that, it always leads to just like more ideas about how to keep iterating and keep making it better. So to get started, man, that's it. It starts with like an unhealthy obsession for learning everything you can about it. That's it. And YouTube's a great resource for that. And then just like those pillars, man, giving the time, giving the training. That's what the meeting's for, and giving that resource to them, right?
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you actually put me on game on a lot of stuff. You probably didn't know, but I watched a lot of the videos that you put out on YouTube.
Thank you. That's what they're for, right? Share the knowledge, really, is what it is.
Definitely. And when I ran my shop, actually one of the things I took from those videos, well, a few little games, like the foam situation. I didn't know anything about the foam situation. I got that from watching your situation. And also I took a different route with the video, because I created this whole little system. You guys did the whole WhatsApp situation, right? With the video?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what you said. But that, to me, it gave me an idea for something else, where actually I even use it to this day on some other stuff that I do, where just making video a big part of just our whole situation.
Yeah, dude. A video's worth 1,000 pictures, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. Is like how I like to. That's probably Paul Akers thing too, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words, and a video's worth 1,000 pictures. Like, I made one yesterday. Someone had a question for me about how to do something in Illustrator. Boom. Just made a video, sent it out. It's amazing. It's so much better, right? Get that inflection and get all that stuff going. So the videos are key, man. We use Signal now. It's the same. It's like WhatsApp. It's just a group chat for like the shop, right? Really easy. It's so good.
I would imagine, like, so you do the lean, so you heavy in the lean situation. Have you heard of Traction or the EOS system or framework, business framework?
So I don't know. Is the EOS system part of Track? Is that like a Traction thing?
Yeah.
So I don't think so. So for the viewers, explain that to me. It must still be on the list.
Yeah, I'll explain it. But this would be a killer business or killer shop if they could merge those two principles together, where it could align. Honestly, I didn't go heavy on lean, but I went heavy on Traction or the EOS framework. So the EOS framework it's a management framework to run your business. So it has these, it talks about 6 core things that you need to do, which is pretty much focusing on people, focusing on your vision, on numbers. The last one is Traction. I'm missing one, all right? If you could bring these 6 things together, and it gives you a framework to do all 6, right? Okay. Then you have a business that is truly a business that you could pass off, you could sell, that you could, even if you don't want to sell it, you can manage where it's not running you over, right? And there's a lot of overlap when it comes to lean, because you have to document everything. Once you get to your system and process framework, you have to document everything. It talks about videos and stuff like that. those two I think if you could have those two systems, of course you need marketing to get customers in, but for your operations, the operation of the business, those two systems, study those two books and those two framework, you have a business that you can
Traction,
run.
man. It must be on my reading list. Like I remember you saying, I just listened to you and Richard Tilley the other day. I heard you say you read like 51 books in like 18 months, something like that. So that's a lot. Do you ever have that like where it's like where you're like, I think I read that, or maybe it's on my list? That might be a sign that I like have been cruising through too many, but that's got to be on my list. I'm gonna have to bump it up. I'm gonna have to bump it up though, because no, I don't think I read it, but that sounds like yeah, it does. I see the similarities, I guess is what I'm saying, where it's like lean is one thing. It's like for me, I think it really comes back to, like I said, it's a management principle. It really is like a leadership tool. It's like a way to get people engaged with their jobs and thinking about more than just the task at hand. Make them like engineers of their own process. At FastCap, man, that's what they say their job title is. Like, we're all process engineers. We don't like print t-shirts. I'm like an engineer of the t-shirt printing process. Like every day I'm trying to think of how to make this process better, and then I test it by printing shirts like the rest of the day. Nice.
Yeah. So every book that I read, but not every book, most book that I read, I try to like take notes, right? So this is Traction. This is the book Traction, right? So it talks about the 6 components, which is vision, people, data, process, issues, and then the last one is traction. Traction is where your business is truly scalable, and as the owner, you could take yourself out of the picture, right?
Yeah, I see where that comes in, right? Like lean is all about fix what bugs you, like learn to identify those issues and give time to address them.
Yeah.
Like prioritize addressing them before they turn into these emergencies or whatever, right?
Definitely. I noticed that you put some out recently. You made a tool, right? To help out screen printers.
Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, I guess you would love this thing, right? So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's called PrePress Pro. And all it is, man, is some shortcuts in Illustrator. It's like an Adobe Illustrator. It's just a pop-up panel that lets you place reg marks. And the important one, I think, is swatch labels. It'll let you place all your swatch labels. So if you have red, yellow, green design, it'll place those labels on it. You can select your mesh counts. It's got like just resizing functions and stuff, whether you're doing film output or computer to screen system or something like that. But that's it, man. It's just like a real handy menu. Makes the process. I thought I was quick before, right? You're doing art all day, so you have a template. I was dragging marks on. It probably was taking, when I timed myself, it was less than 2 minutes. Like when I first got the first version of PrePress Pro back, it was less than 2 minutes I was taking. But man, PrePress Pro lets you do it in like 10 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if that.
Why'd you build that? So you build it to save time, to help.
You can like, yeah, it's funny. Like I was gonna give a sarcastic answer. Like, man, can you imagine? Like that's why, because it makes it take 10 seconds. And I have an eye maybe, or remember I said, so the reason I love leans because it gave me like a language to speak. It's because I had this like feeling that I had this like something I wanted to express, this like annoyance or something about certain processes. I'm always just thinking there's got to be a better way. And when it comes to something like placing reg marks, if you're doing a repetitive process on a computer, I'll tell you there's a better way. Like computers are programmable. It's yeah, I have a bit of background in like building websites and stuff like that. I've been on the internet a long time, you know what I mean? And I just knew the computer could do all that stuff, like all that stuff. Yeah, I knew the robots could do it, you know what I mean? So that's where it came from. It came from just a little bit of Googling, trying to find like something similar, you know, like when you print from Illustrator, there's some options to add cut marks and to add reg marks and stuff like that. But I thought like, really it's just like, I'm like, there's no way everybody in our industry is doing this, like placing them manually. And I was like, when I found out they were, it was like, man, I just need to. So I never planned to release it. Maybe I had thought about it in the background, like, well, if we get this working, maybe other people will buy it. But I built it for myself, man. I just was doing art prep every day, and doesn't matter what the process is, I'm gonna wonder about it, especially if it's so repetitive that you don't need to think about it when you're doing
Yeah.
when it's like an automatic thing. That's when my mind is free to wander, I guess, about how you can make it better, right? And so it just started with that. Like, can Illustrator Actions do this thing? And I hired a guy on Upwork, hired like a freelance JavaScript programmer. That's it, man. Like, that was maybe probably longer than that, maybe 2.5 years ago. Built it for ourselves, and that was it. That was one of the last jobs actually of the screen printing process that I took off my plate. I was doing separations. I was
Gotcha.
the guy doing it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And customer service gets it mostly ready, right? They have a file where they're using the right swatches and stuff so that they can mock up accurately. But that final step of checking, adding an underbase, putting the marks on, that was always my job. So part of it was just getting well, it's taking 2 minutes before, right? So if I can get it down to 10 seconds, I could save myself 10 plus minutes a day. It adds up to like
I saw
40
the
hours a
math
year.
that that was
That's real
you
too.
just don't think about it. You just don't think about it. It's
No,
2 minutes.
no. And I hear that constantly. I've heard that from other shops a lot. Like verbatim, I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm not worried about the like couple minutes it takes to do that." And not, I mean, about PrePress Pro, about other things like all sorts of stuff, right? And it's like, how I don't know. I couldn't afford to not be worried about it. You know what I mean? I don't have time.
Yeah.
I need that 40 hours back. Yeah.
How's it doing? Like you got shops using it?
Yeah, I think there's like over 100 shops.
Nice.
Who have
You know what?
who have like downloaded it.
I actually, I should have gotten that. So I will actually get it.
Try it out, man. Like,
I will.
I don't know. That's my hardest thing is it's like anything, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink it, right? But I think you should try it, man. It's like, I think it's at the point now where it can work for every workflow. So every version that comes out, people have questions, right? Hey, is there a way to do this? They'll tell me why it doesn't work for their shop or whatever. And I think we're getting through those now, right? It's getting to be minor issues. Like the last thing I heard about, someone was asking me like, hey, instead of having the info, the file name and stuff centered, could we have it like at the far left? And I was just like, yeah, but also that's pretty minor, right? Like, you'll be fine like if you leave it where it is. So it's it's worth it, man. It's so easy. If you're not doing the separations, then at least show it to the guy who is, right? If you're not the one doing it, then show it to the guy who is, because a lot of people, when they see it, they're like, what is this magic?
I'll bring it up to my team.
Just show them, because that's been the leading comment when I post short clips of it. And that's what led me to release it. Was I made a video just about separating an annoying file, and it was right at the end. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't plug it or anything, I don't think. I was just like, all right, and now it should be ready for the reg marks. So I did the like keyboard shortcut, hit OK, and it put the marks on. And the comments, a couple comments.
Yeah, that's like, what is that? I was like,
yeah,
that couple milliseconds that you did, right?
They're like, what is that tool? So that's how it came to be, right? And since it was already paid for, basically, like I paid someone to do it, and I had been using it for like 1.5 years. So if it was like 10 minutes a day, I've more than paid for it, right? And so that's what led to releasing it as it's pay what you want, right? So if you don't have the cash, then start using it now, and you'll have the cash in 1 year, right? And then you can come back and make a little donation, right? So that's what led to that, right? It's just like pay it forward. It's so easy. It's such a good tool. Like, so try it out, man, or show it to someone. And that's what I implore anybody to do who's listening to this. If you're not the one placing those marks, then PrePress Pro might not hit your soul the same way it will to the person who does place those marks, because they're
the one that's going through the pain.
And they might not even realize it, right? I didn't think like it when I first got it. I guess it was better than I anticipated, like, because took me a long time to build it. I had the idea for it like a long time. And it took a long time to start like talking to a developer and actually get it done. Cause I was like 2 minutes, right? But yeah, once you get it on there, it's just fast.
What do you see next? What do you see next for you, for your business? What's
For me, man.
what are you tinkering with? I know you love tinkering with stuff.
So 2022, my project is like sales and marketing. I think that's always been my weak spot here. Kind of relied on word of mouth and well, like I said, I saw there's a hole in the market, right? I was getting stuff done at other shops. There's lots of shops here. So there's lots of people here who need shirts. So and we've been doing okay just by getting good reviews and doing good work and being on time, right? But now I'm trying to focus on the sales and marketing side of it. I've always been really heavily on the operations side.
Yeah.
Just like I don't want to, for the 5 years, like when you're growing, man, the last thing I wanted was more orders down the pipe. I'm like our biggest problems we're keeping up with what we had already. You know what I mean? And now that COVID changes things, right? But we're still steady. I hired more people. So now I have some capacity to fill, I guess, is what I'm thinking now. So
no, definitely. Are you thinking of digital marketing or like traditional stuff?
I'm starting to learn that like marketing and sales are kind of two different things, right? The way I heard it described as marketing is kind of like casting a net out, and you know, the fishies are like going by and they're going to get caught in that net of good reviews, and they're going to see us on Instagram and get caught in that little net. And then sales is like whale hunting, bro, like going out and like trying to find those customers. So I've always just been in the shop. And so for me, it's not really, I don't want to spend money. That's a lean principle, maybe like use your wits, not your wallet. I think we have a lot of resources here to, you know, like I have a big email list. It's just a matter of connecting with them. And like we have great customers already. It's just a matter of helping them sell more and stuff like that. So I've been working hard to build that team out. And I think for a while I was the production manager. So I press one of my lead press operator, kind of let him step into that role a little bit more. I just got one more person in production so that someone can run the press, someone can be in the dark room, which means that my lead operator can kind of be looking at both. He still runs the press, still helps, right? But he can kind of step back. So yeah, just a bunch of hiring. Now it's time to focus on. So yeah, I would say like sales, like tactics, like identifying those customer groups, those personas or whatever, and then going after them a bit better. Like who's our best customer? What kind of customer are they? Like who do I want? I heard someone say like you want like the best customers are people who are spending other people's money. Like people who aren't spending their own money. It's like, yeah, like a corporation or like a big nonprofit, like a bigger organization, like just stuff like they're still price sensitive maybe, but yeah, they're not as sensitive, right? Something like that. Someone else's money. So that's a good one.
It makes complete sense. It ain't their money.
Yeah. Like, you know, okay, it was a shout out to it's Mike Chong. I heard it was Mike Chong who said that looking for clients, it's just an offhand comment on Facebook, just looking for clients who are spending other people's money. That's so true. Like that's exactly this. So yeah, I'm not really big into ads or anything like that. It's hard to measure, you know, I can't measure it. And so I'm like, yeah.
I don't know if I've seen anybody in our space that has like, besides custom ink, like anybody in our space that has really like mastered this whole marketing situation.
And has custom ink even done it? Like, I don't even know if they have succeeded. Like, just because you see somebody throwing a lot of money at it doesn't necessarily, right? Doesn't mean they're doing good at it. Because I don't know, no one can measure it that good. And not to say there's no money. I know lots of people who are who swear by it. You know, I think I've asked this in like screen print marketing and stuff, like, hey, how much of your total revenue are you spending on this stuff? Man, some people are in the 5-10% range where they're spending that money to get people in. And
is it like sponsorship that they're doing, or just like placement?
I think I asked kind of vaguely. I think I asked about straight like digital marketing, like just like how much ad spend, like how much do you devote to ad spend? And some people were high, but most people, most people said no. They're like, no, traditional kind of like reaching out to those clients you already have, like using your email list, just those simple things. The best bang for your buck, man, is like taking a day off and maybe going to visit some of your customers.
Yeah. What's his name is really, well, you mentioned Screen Printing Magazine. We had him on the podcast, Tom. He does a lot of,
Yeah.
he experimented with a lot of stuff.
He seems like the wizard of it. Like I was talking to Marshall Atkinson about him. Like he seems like he knows how to sell some t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like I said, I've always been on the operational side, and I would like, I would maybe have, I worried way more about operations than about
Yeah.
marketing for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm realizing that like you can be good at both. Maybe I thought that I'll stick to this stuff and then one day I'll
Yeah.
hire a guy like Tom. But really it's like, I don't know, if you can figure out how screen printing works, I think you can figure out how, like, and not to play down any of what they do or whatever, right? But grateful for resources like Tom and Marshall,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like we can learn how to do it, and there's people in our industry helping us. And it's not as competitive. Yeah, it's not competitive, right?
No, man,
They teach me.
you dominate your area. I'm sure your business is more local than anything. Dominate your situation, and like this guy win wherever he's at. I don't think you're. I mean, I'm sure he's got a more of a wider net with customers, but you're not touching his customers.
And that's why that's what I like about our industry, I guess, is we can share those resources without stepping on each other's toes and stuff. I have the benefit of being in a totally different country, so that I think helps with that. But my 2022 mission, I guess, is to hang out with those guys a little bit more. I muted a bunch of Facebook groups and got screen print marketing is the one that's like on my home feed now that I'm worried about. I'm just paying attention to what those guys are up to. I got like the team printing, you know what I mean? I have someone answering the emails, and now I can just focus on getting more of them in and stuff like that.
Awesome strategy. Just like Cory owned his shop, but I own my shop. Actually, last year I sold a business. All right, so I was in a process of partnering up, and my partner bought the business. All right, so since then I've started this new project, and this project is mainly to solve a problem that was bothering me when I ran my shop. And after I spoke to a lot of screen printers, they was telling me that they was having similar issues. And this was handling production artwork, right? So I struggled big time when I ran my business because I'm not a graphic artist to handling production artwork. I tried to get freelancers to help me out. I could never find anybody that was reliable. Tried to hire people to do it in-house. It was really expensive. And when I tried to do it myself, I did it, but man, just sitting behind the computer just took forever. So I was like, there had to be something better. So I've devoted some time to help screen printers solve this challenge. And we think we've done something, right? So what we've done is created this art department for screen printing shops. So it's there for screen printing shop owner to save time, save money, and scale their business faster. And we're doing that by helping screen printers with these things: vector retrace, proofs and mockup, color separation, and some custom artwork for screen printing production. We're calling this seps.io. Seps.io, hit me up. I'll tell you more about it, or go to the website. Once you're there, you get a platform to use. Account managers are there, and we have a team of graphic designers that's going to help you run your business better. Hit me up, seps.io. So, Cory, is there anything that maybe I'm not asking you that you want to share? Something maybe you say you're into BMX. I don't know anything about that. Nothing. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that. So BMX, that's bike riding, right? And is it the mechanical bike riding, right? Not the not the motor. I knew this guy that did it. I knew his parents. They used to go to competition all the time. But I don't think it's a big thing in South Florida, where I was for the longest time. So I just
there's a little bit like what's South Florida like? What's the cities around there?
You got Fort Lauderdale, you got Boca Raton, you got West Palm Beach. People are more
where's Daytona Beach?
Daytona is like central, which is like
Okay.
maybe like 3-4 hours drive.
So BMX, man, BMX exposed me, I think, to like everything that I
Mm,
know. You know what I mean? Like the reason I know Daytona Beach is that was one of the first BMX trips I went on. One of my BMX
mm,
friends was like, I think his boss, he worked at some carpentry business or whatever. His boss had a motorcycle, like a chopper or whatever. He drove it down to Daytona Beach for bike week, and he needed, I guess, someone to help drive. So he recruited my buddy. And at like, hey, do you want to bring a friend? I wasn't even supposed to go on this trip. He was going to go with this girl, and the girl bailed on him. Like, it must have been the night before. Like, it was. I remember telling my mom, like, yeah, I'm going to Florida, and she was like, what the fuck? Like, she like didn't want. We can't really say no. I think I was 17. I was like old enough to kind of go, right?
yeah.
And I had been on like some trips before, but nothing like that. So I'll tell you, like, we met BMX riders there. There was a scene. There was a skate park. We went there. There was riders there.
Mm,
But like, yeah, Florida was like it was an experience for sure. And bike week was crazy too. But yeah, so BMX that's what I would describe BMX as for me. It was like this opportunity to travel and stuff like that. And
nice.
it definitely was I don't know, what would you call that? All the important formative experiences were, yeah, it was big. It showed me, man, they say like, so filming a BMX video part is hard work. Like to get it's what I do on YouTube now is way easier than making a BMX video. Like for the very first thing is that like if you screw up a clip in here, you could do it again, right? If you miss something, you could like print those shirts again. I don't know, whatever. Like in BMX and skateboarding and stuff, to film a video part of a certain level is really hard work. You have to have someone to film it. You have to like go out, you got to go to the spot and make sure you're not getting kicked out. You got weather,
Mm,
security, you've got all sorts, never mind actually doing it. So BMX was really good in that sense of just teaching me what hard work was without really
mhm.
realizing it and stuff like that. And if you can video part, you can do BMX tricks, like, a lot of stuff just looks, I won't say easy, but like what happens when you screw up a shirt? You just print another shirt. Like I know what pain is, you know what I mean? And it's it's easy to go when I look at other things, you're not picking yourself up off the bottom of a set of stairs or something like that. You're just right, you're just filming you're just printing another shirt, or you're shooting another screen. You're just
Yeah.
looking at it the same way you would before. And so yeah, like BMX led me even to screen printing. You know what I mean? It was the reason that I needed these shirts. We were doing these events, like these BMX
Mm,
jams at the local parks. And that was what we did to like fundraise to throw the jams, was sell merch at them. Right. And so, and t-shirts, that was like, it wasn't as popular as I think it is now, BMX. It wasn't as accessible, right? All we got was like one magazine a month, like videos came out a couple times a year, and that was it. So if you had a BMX shirt, that was like, you couldn't even, there's no online shopping, right? You couldn't even really get BMX shirts unless you ordered them out like the back of these magazines or like from your local shop and stuff like that. So yeah, it was shirts were like important. Same with the stickers, man. That's where that sticker collection comes from. It's just like that was like the currency of the culture or whatever, having that stuff. So yeah, that's how I could talk about BMX all day, but that's how I would describe it. It's like
And did
positive
did
influence.
because I know a lot of it, well, not I know, but like I hear a lot of those guys, they get hurt, they get made. So I have two brothers, right? And there was more into the bicycle thing. They
Motocross, yeah.
both, yeah, they both fail, no, like sports bike, like type of stuff. They both
Okay.
fell off their bike and injured themselves in a major way. I've always stayed away from that crazy stuff. Um,
Yeah. It's I don't know. I saw a really good description of it. It's like it's we know the risks that are involved, right? But it's like it's just this right? But it is just like you want to put yourself in that situation. You want to prove that you can do these things and stuff like that. It's like it's mostly an internal battle, right? but
Gotcha. Yeah.
with an internal battle with like a piece of architecture, basically, is like how like what like street riding is. You see this thing, you think you can do it, everything's telling you not to, it's dangerous, there's no point in doing it, right? Like
Yeah.
who cares, right? But you do it, and it's there's an element of bravery there, I guess, right? Yeah, BMX taught me a lot. I credit, like, you see, I have a TV back here that just plays old videos all the time. I just keep it around, right? Like, it's something that I think has influenced me really positively. And even though it's like dangerous and put me in sketchy situations and stuff like that, like, man, that Florida trip was like sketchy. When I think back, like, to some of the stuff, like, I don't like, we were drinking too. Like, I was kind of young and we were drinking on that trip, and it was just like, I don't know, if my mom must not have known what it'd be like, because there's no way I wouldn't even go, I don't think. Like, I wouldn't go now on that trip again, knowing like what it was like. I would go like a different week, like not bike week or something. It was crazy. But yeah, like it lots of experiences, right? Like, I lived in England for almost a year, and that was just through BMX. That was just from like almost an exchange trip, right? It had some English guys who came out here, and we thought it was a good, my house, the BMX house we were living at, it was kind of coming to an end. Like, we were all kind of moving on, and England was like the easiest place to go, which was weird, hard to believe at the time. It was like, yeah, I might as well go back home with these guys, right? So all these crazy experiences, and then leading me to this, to Floodway and to lean thinking and stuff like that. It's it's something I'm keeping around. I still try and ride as often as I can and stuff like that. But that would be my 2022, trying to get out on the bike a little bit more, and now that my kid can ride his own bike and stuff. So
Oh, and congratulations, man. I know you had your baby recently.
yeah,
So,
thank you. Like, number
yeah.
2. So yeah, I got 2 boys now, and he's just coming out of the newborn stage now. So it's getting into like toddler phase. So yeah, it's been kind of you take for granted, I guess. Like, I always forget, like, when I'm tired or something like that, I'm maybe like hard on myself or something, but I take for granted that I have like a super young kid at home, two young kids at home. So it's all about just the balance and the juggling act. But
Yeah, man.
I don't think that I think that's a really important part of the journey too, right? It's like, when I started this shop, I still rode BMX. Like, I have filmed a video part since starting Floodway. Like, I've done a video since then. That was my last video part. It was in like, I think 2016 or 17 now, but like, kept those hobbies around, started a family, all that stuff. And I think it's all critical, right? I don't think there's any advantage or like extra efficiency to having only the one thing that you're focused on, right? Like, I worked on just the shop for a long time. I guess when it first started, it was the only thing. I was like, well, I was riding and I had the shop, and that was it. But adding kids and like keeping it all going is it's made me a better practitioner, like a better operator, a better manager. Like, how are you going to learn time management, I guess, if you don't have to manage your time, right? If you don't have, like, how are you going to learn that balance as a manager if you don't have any, right? It certainly didn't take away from anything we're doing here, right? To like have those hobbies or have kids or family or whatever, right? That's something I see in our industry, just like, focus on your shop, right? But I'm kind of on the other side of that, where it's like, focus on being better at everything you do, right? If you deny yourself these things, like, I think it's weird to want a business more than you want like, to give up your hobbies or something just to start a business or something. I think that's kind of weird, right?
That's how people get lost in business, I find, because they get into the business and they have this dream, which is it's a pure dream. It starts out as a pure dream, but then it starts to take away. Like, you put 10 years into your business, you become this old fat guy before you know it. And like, your life is like, what am I doing here? family doesn't like you, if you have employees, they don't like you. Like,
they say like you have to have a good why, right? And
yeah.
man, this is just clicking with me now. So the why for me, I think, is like I started the business so that I could like have a family, so that I could ride BMX, because I had jobs before and I had to quit them to go on BMX trips and stuff like that. And so, and like I have it's hard, I guess, having kids. Like you need that flexibility in your job when you have kids. And so that was the reason I started this business. I think a lot of people start the business for like that sort of freedom, but you get lost in it when it's easy to get lost in it, I guess.
Yes, yeah, it is. It's super. Because
So remember that why, man, whatever it is, it's different for everybody. But I got into my business to build something that could allow me to do more of what I want, not to be this passive income thing, right? But because I want to work, I want to have a job and like add value to our customers and to our industry. But yeah, I can't do that if I'm like not enjoying myself, if it's not adding value to me, I guess, to my life enough that I can ride and have a family. So yeah, that's where lean comes from, man. It's like more time to do valuable things, right?
that's awesome, man. Yo, how do people get in touch with you? How do they do business with you? Like, how do they buy? Give me the name again. The
PrePress Pro.
PrePress Pro. How do they buy that? Yeah, talk about that if you don't know.
I think best way right now is I'm on Instagram a lot at Floodway Print Co. So if you want to talk to me, I'm on there talking with shops all the time. The link in bio on Floodway is kind of where I keep these different projects, right? There's like, I got the YouTube going a little bit now. PrePress Pro just launched the screen machine version for CTS. So that's all, you can find it all on there, right? Instagram, Floodway Print Co. And then link in bio. I've got the custom services, whatever. No one who's listening cares about that. But yeah, PrePress Pro and the YouTube are all linked up on Instagram. And that's where I'm talking to people, man. That's the best way to get in touch. That's how we got in touch, right? That's how we got this going. So
that's how it happened. Yeah, go and support. I'm gonna go and get it. PrePress Pro. Just
you should, man. There's people in your industry using it already, man. There's no need for a commercial license, man. Your competitors are using it. I know they are.
Gonna go in there and know, and yes, I will pay for it.
You don't have, man, try it for free. Try it for free before you pay, man. I urge you to check it out.
I respect creators' work, man. Like you just gotta pay for people for what the energy that they put into things. So yeah, hey, Cory, thank you so much for coming to the T-Shirt Business Podcast. Learned a lot. Great conversation. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. We should do it again.
Yes, sir. We will. We will. Good.